What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video, and I'm really excited to talk about this because this franchise, Kirby, believe it or not, I know I don't speak about Kirby a lot, but back in the day, Kirby actually used to be my favorite Nintendo franchise, actually even over Mario. Believe it or not, there was a time period in my life that I absolutely loved Kirby. Now, Mario 3 had already came out, and I really enjoyed that, and yes, that's still one of the greatest games of all time. I put it in my top 5, but there was a time period from like the NES to the Super Nintendo that it was Kirby for me. Superstar, all those games, they were so good. I thought the concept was so unique because you'd never seen a character move the way Kirby did in gaming. There just wasn't just this pink puffball that would float in the air. Yeah, you had flying and stuff like that through power-ups, but this wasn't a power-up. This is what he could do normally in the game. I just found it to be incredible, and I love that you could absorb people and get their powers and do all sorts of stuff. I just thought Kirby was like the best thing. So over the years, I've had like a love-hate relationship with Kirby, like pretty much any other franchise out there. Barely any franchise that I play, I love every single game, but I thought that they went back on track. I think like with the Wii release, one of those where you can play like multiplayer, a Kirby game. I think they kind of fell off a little bit with the Canvas Curse and those type of games. Look, I don't like them as much as other people. I know some of you guys love those games, so I'm not here to hate on those games, but I just wasn't a fan of the Wii release and the DS release as much. But then I think they kind of got back on track with the Nintendo 3DS games. I really do love Planet Robobot, and I love Triple Deluxe. Then they dipped slightly with Kirby Star Allies. So overall, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a brief history on what I liked with Kirby, my origins of the series, and kind of how I got into it, and also what I felt throughout it. Now, we're not talking about spin-offs as much here because Kirby's Air Ride is absolutely amazing, and they should definitely do another one of those games. But I was bringing this up because, as you guys see in the title, we're talking about the next big Kirby game for the Nintendo Switch and what's going to be going down. And I know some of you guys might be a little bit off put with Kirby Star Allies. The game's good, but like the easiness of the game and everything was just kind of like meh on that one. But here's why I think that the next Kirby game is going to be more in the line of what we saw with Kirby Triple Deluxe or Kirby Planet Robobot. Now, not having the same gimmick or theme, but doing something different. But before we get into that and my thoughts on it, I wanted to go over what the Kirby director himself had to say when it comes to 2021 ambitions, because this is very exciting because it does seem like we will be getting a Kirby game more sooner than later. So here's what he had to say in the recent Famitsu column. Quote, "Though I can't talk about our next game yet, Hal actually turned 40 this year. We're trying to figure out what people want to see from us and what our next challenge should be. There are many things a creator can strive toward, and they're all enjoyable. We'll take that feeling and tackle 2021 head on." Now here's the important part. Kirby turns 29 in 2021. While fans enjoy our games and merch, we'll be hard at work on the next project, and I suspect it'll be done before we know it. That's code right there. We'll talk about what the code is for that. Please look forward to Kirby and everything else Hal has to offer in 2021. So this is very interesting. We got Kirby Fighters 2, which is good, but that's not like the mainline thing. That's a great game. I actually do like Kirby Fighters 2, but we're talking about the main single player or co-op experience that you go through with your friends, not something like Kirby Fighters. So let's talk about this just a bit. He said that we'll be hard at work on our next project, and I suspect it'll be done before we know it. To me, obviously, he can't say certain stuff. There's NDAs and all of that. So he's saying, you know what? We're probably already working on that game, but I just can't say that we're knee deep into working on that game. And you know what? It's probably already ready to go or near ready to go. And we're just going to wait for that Nintendo Direct, or we're just going to wait for that announcement of, hey, here's the game, and then it drops at this point. Now, Kirby Star Allies came out, that'll be 3 years ago. I think that was a 2018 title. So yeah, that'll be 3 years ago as of February, early next year. So in that time period, they didn't spend it all making Kirby Fighters. I'm not even sure if they directly did that, which they probably did, but a smaller team, because that game's just a really small, you know, version of like Smash Brothers on like a really tiny scale, to be honest. So I do think that their next game is definitely definitely going to be pretty ambitious. I don't think it's going to be something that is a smaller game in scale. Your boy's turning 29. It's his last year in his 20s. I think they're going to have something pretty good for us. I do think, to kind of go back to one of the themes that I talked about, people on my live stream, we were discussing this, and I find this very fascinating. But some people think that they could do like a follow-up to one of the really good single-player Kirby games. So we're talking Kirby Triple Deluxe or Kirby Planet Robobot. But something that I noticed why I don't think that's going to happen. Now, don't get me wrong, it could. But I don't think it's going to happen is because every single main Kirby game, they've been changing the gimmick of it. Kirby's still Kirby. You can absorb people, you can float, you can go about the levels in a 2D fashion, but they don't do the same gimmick over again. Star Allies was all about your friends and co-op and more of like the family type of play. Kirby Triple Deluxe was getting back to that mainline Kirby type of focus with really cool powers and intense gameplay. Planet Robobot had those robots in there that completely changed the way that the game played. So look for the next Kirby game to probably be a single player game, maybe with some co-op in there, maybe with some pick up and play co-op, but themed on something different, some type of gimmick or hook or a theme that we've seen in the previous ones that have released on Nintendo's main or best-selling platforms. 3DS was the best-selling one, so Kirby kind of got left out to the side on the Wii U. But I do think that they are going to do something along the lines of a Kirby Triple Deluxe and kind of have an intense Kirby game, but then make some type of gimmick based around that. Now, the Nintendo Switch doing extremely well. 70 million plus units will be easily on the market, pretty much already at this point, but will be easily there by the time that the next Kirby game comes. So there is a lot of new customers on there. There's a lot of new people who probably don't know who Kirby is as much, or the first time that they're seeing Kirby, a lot of new gamers would be Super Smash Brothers, right? So they might have gotten a Switch recently, they didn't play Kirby back in the day, and this will be their first time. I think that Nintendo has to make a very big impression when it comes to Kirby and what they're doing. Star Allies was obviously trying to tack on the family play, getting more people to pick up the Switch, play their local co-op and all of that, which was great. I think that the game served its purpose for what it did, but there's no need to kind of follow up on that. That's why I don't think there's going to be some type of Star Allies 2 or anything. They already have that game, and Star Allies still sells decently. It's not like it's not selling at all every single year that it's been out. It's not a huge crazy seller, but it's still doing okay. So if people want to play that style of game, they'll have it. I think for this next Kirby game, they're really going to focus on the core Kirby fan, the type of fan that's been playing the Kirby games probably from the 3DS, maybe from if you started when you were a teenager or a child and now you've grown up a bit and now the next Kirby game is here for you on the Nintendo Switch. I do think that's the case. And based off of what the producer has to say here, man, the fact that he says we'll be hard at work on our next project and I suspect they'll be done before we even know it, I mean, that tells me at least. I know some people might be thinking, oh, he hasn't started yet. I think that's a little bit of a faint hit. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily exactly what's going on because he can't say everything when it comes down to it. I think Kirby's going to have a big 2021. I'm expecting a new type of triple deluxe style game, not with the same hook or gimmick, but that style. I think people absolutely love those games, and those games did extremely well on the Nintendo 3DS with an install base that wasn't as high as the Nintendo Switch's is at the time of their release. This game could do extremely well, much better than what we saw from the 3DS, much better than what we saw with Kirby Star Allies. There's a lot of room for improvement here. There's a lot of room for them to say, okay, we can actually try something and get this to be a 5 million plus seller, considering how popular Kirby is just in general. We just need that game. Now that the install base is there, back in 2018, the install base was nowhere near as high as it is now. Now that it's there, Kirby's the type of franchise that's not the top tier, right? It's not the Mario in terms of sales or Zelda or Pokemon or something like that, but it's something that can do extremely well. And I think that this is the right time, opportunity, place to get it done, considering how popular Smash Brothers is and people like using it there and everything. I just think that this is going to be where Kirby really shines in 2021 if they have a game that's like Kirby Planet Robobot or Kirby Triple Deluxe, if it's kind of like that, and then you have the options for difficulties. You know, you don't make it towards just the default super easy, which they've done with like the Kirby's like Epic Yarn. I'm not really as big of a fan of those games as well. I played it, not really as big of a fan. Give us those multiple options, give us that different type of difficulty mixed in there, because Kirby wasn't always like that. Some people think of Kirby, oh, it's just an easy game. No, there's some games that are definitely more difficult than others and would challenge you in terms of platforming and fighting enemies and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to what they have. I think it's going to be really good. I think that the producer is definitely bluffing just a little bit here. I think that they have something that should be shown off and some type of Nintendo Direct or something like that early 2021. I think it's going to be like a first half type of game, maybe even in that May slot that what we saw, like a Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I know Star Allies was like February or March when it originally launched back in 2018. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be a game that is more later, right? But in the first half. So we're gonna have to wait and see what they ultimately end up doing. I'm just excited to get back to potentially seeing Kirby in like that Triple Deluxe type of phase, because I like the game. I like Kirby. I think it's dope. I think he's a cool character, even though he's like a cute little pink puffball. But at the same time, man, like he can absolutely destroy you. Kirby's extremely powerful. What do you want to see in the next Kirby game? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay updated on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.